Did I ever tell you I've met Gary Fisher? Gary Fisher. A couple times, actually. It's a true story. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back. The construction behind me has abated slightly, so we're going to try to get this in before they fire up the what sounds like a timber mill again. I hope you're all doing well. It's good to see you. So, when I was a Trek dealer, Trek used to do a thing called Trek World, and they would bring all the dealers to Madison, and it was a big party, at least in the beginning, and you could see all the new product. And Trek had bought the Fisher brand some years prior, and Gary was under contract. And if you've ever seen or an interview with Gary Fisher, that's Gary being Gary, and that's exactly why he was there. He was there to be Gary. And then I ran into him at the National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. And this must have been 2008. And I think I have a picture of this somewhere. He had a suit on. You know the clothing, you can get clothing now that has reflective thread sewn into it. Gary had gone to, I think it was London, and had an entire suit, like a three-piece suit made that had that reflective thread sewn into it. It was something to see, and that was all Gary Fisher. And then I ran into him again like the next day, and he was outside the office of his congressperson, and he was not Gary. He was in a bit of a mood, and he just kept saying, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this. They're killing us. Again, this was 2008. The interactions, as they like to call them, between automobiles and cyclists stroke pedestrians had not reached the pitch that it is at today. So I don't know that I brushed him aside. I didn't brush it off, but I thought that the animus was, or the what's the right word? He was blowing it out of proportion, maybe a little bit, I thought, at the time. Now, what the hell does this have to do with anything today? Well, I got a message from a friend of mine on Friday morning, a friend from Indianapolis, telling me that a guy who's worked in bike shops in Indianapolis for at least as long as I have was killed riding his bike to work on Friday morning. And, I certainly knew who this guy was. I don't think I'd ever met him. He worked at the bicycle garage in Indianapolis for, I think, the entirety of the time that he worked in the bike business, which is, in and of itself, is kind of unusual. We tend to hop around. And I just don't know if this is ever going to end. He was riding his bike to work on the Monon Trail. Now, the Monon Trail is a very long, multi-use greenway that runs from 10th Street on the south end all the way up to God knows where, Westfield, out of Indianapolis on the north side. The only issue with the Monon is that it's a north-south trail, which means it crosses streets, some busy, on a pretty regular basis. And if you remember the video that I shot before I left Indy, one of the streets, the busy streets that it used to cross was 38th Street. And they finally, a little cloud cover, put a, pretty extensive walking bridge, walking and cycling bridge over 38th Street. So you didn't have to cross that street any longer. It was a long time coming. Well, the other kind of major thoroughfare that you have to cross is 86th Street, which is the street that he had to cross to get to work. Now, we're never going to know exactly what happened because now there's only one side of the story. But there's signals at that intersection where you cross the trail. That crossing has been there almost since the Monon's inception. And I had this thought this morning that, I almost felt safer before they put in all these bike lanes and trails because there were fewer cars on the road. And everybody wasn't staring at one of these. I guess I'm going to just take another opportunity to say that wherever you are, get involved, even if it means only throwing a few dollars at your local advocacy organization. Holy crap. Just to amplify the voices that are already there. I had an old customer tell me this a long time ago, and the more time goes by, the more I think it's true, that these things are never going to change until one of these lawmakers loses a family member. And you certainly don't want that to happen, but it certainly feels like lawmakers and law enforcement are not going to take any of this seriously until they lose somebody that they love. And it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts. So be careful out there. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer today. So how about a palate cleanser? The store is up and running. And so how about a little peek at the brand new Psychic Derailleur, and we'll kind of settle down a little bit.
Well, okay, here we are in the new shop, which, funnily enough, doesn't really look much different than the old shop. We got our bags, some Surly t-shirts, my trusty Bridge Club, my one extra bike rack, which I got to figure out what to do with because I don't have room for two. Some empty space on the wall, which is understandable given the lack of product. The table there, some of you may recognize from the older videos when I was still in Indy. More stuff on the wall. The monitor from my ancient computer, which I also have to transition to something a little different. Pretty small space. Still have a bunch of kind of organizing and straightening to do. And then all of the parts. Still got to organize some of the tools. That's it. The little bike shop that could. Let's hope.
So there you have it. The little bike shop that could. Hopefully. like I said, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you stay safe out there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the kind words and kind comments. And I hope something good happens to you today. Till next time, be nice, work hard, ride bikes, play music when you can. I'll talk to you soon.